What's up, everybody? Frostie here, coming at you with another deck tech. This time, tackling the monster red deck wins, otherwise known as Little Kid Red, otherwise known as Son of a Bitch. I can't believe I'm playing against this deck once again. In my opinion, #1 most played deck on Magic the Gathering Arena. My take on it, a little different, a little more, I guess, synergistic than just traditional MonoRED with Phoenixes and Glorybringers. Possibly also a cheaper option for those of you who don't have access to a ton of wild cards and are looking for something quick to grind queues and otherwise rank up in Magic the Gathering. Gonna go over some of the card choices here. Start as always with the land base, but it is MonoRED. Not a whole lot to talk about other than slam some mountains into it and go from there. If you did not have access to Ramanap Ruins, then that is one thing to start off with if you have some uncommon wild cards laying around. But the one choice here that you might not see is Dune of the Dead. This is just a value desert. I have also thought about playing Scavenger, Scavenger Grounds here in order to exile graveyards. That is also a solid choice, but just enough desert so that Ramanap has the most value. In the games that we've played, we've never been color screwed, never been able to not hit a good number of red sources. But then again, we are not playing any double red, if you've noticed throughout the entire list here. No Glorybringers, no Phoenixes. So the amount of deserts and colorless lands that we can play is kind of increased there. But if you are playing Glorybringer or the Phoenix, then you might want to cut 2 of these colorless deserts and add 2 more mountains. Moving over to the removal / burn, 3 Magma Sprays, 4 Lightning Strikes, and the brand new Wizard's Lightning. When you search Wizard for the current sets in Magic, you get some surprising cards, things that I did not think were Wizards to begin with. And there have been very, very few times where this costs 3. Majority of the time, this is just Lightning Bolt in what we've played it. So it's pretty crazy to have access to that again. If you are not playing the Wizards, though, I would not play Lightning. There's probably just better cards to be playing. But yeah, so we have a total of 8, 3 damage to the face, and then Magma Spray to help clear the way. Magma Spray is also way too important in the mirror match because of Earthshaker Kenra, as well as being able to get rid of just random blockers in the way. One change I kind of want to make here is to get the Chain Flinger. I think it's called Chain Flinger. Chain Whirler. This guy. Playing a mirror match, I got completely destroyed by somebody who had Soulscar Mage and then played a Chain Whirler on top of it. That I was not expecting. That is a very, very interesting interaction there with those 2 cards. So that's something we might be checking out over Ferocidon or possibly the Flame. But anyway, continuing on to the card choices, I guess we'll start with the 1-drops here. Lava Runner and Soulscar Mage, both Wizards, both 1-drop red creatures. Soulscar Mage having prowess as well, and Lava Runner looking at your graveyard for instants and sorceries. These 2 are great. I play them over Firebrand simply because of the utility that they have throughout the game. Being able to just both turn your lightning bolts on. Both are usually 2 power. And just, I don't know, they've felt better. Soulscar Mage makes blocking pretty difficult just because of his prowess triggers, as well as outside of combat, any just inherent damage from Lightning Strike or Wizard's Lightning can just sort of wreck any of the dinosaur decks or, get troublesome creatures out of the way. Moving into the 2-drops, Burning Fist Minotaur here, 2/1 First Striker, also happens to be a Wizard. Has performed way better than the 2/1 Menace Goblin or the 2/1 Hasting Dinosaur that I see in a lot of mono-red decks. Has just been hard to block. Being able to also discard cards to him to hit for another 2 turning on Hazarets later into the game. It's just been a complete powerhouse. Earthshaker Kenra, obviously normal. If you were wondering where to use your wild cards in a MonoRED deck, in this version there's only one rare and one mythic. In normal MonoRED, obviously you have to choose between Glorybringers and Phoenixes and Kenras and everything. So if you're looking for a budget version, this can help you. Flame of Keld is kind of the one-off that we're trying. Playing it seemed actually perfect. It set up some pretty strong turn 5 kills. At this point, because we're so low to the ground in this deck, the discard your hand portion of it tends to only discard like maybe a land or two, or just a random like creature that we don't really want to play anymore. And then once you get into stage 3 of this, that is a insane turn, especially if you can clear the way with Earthshakers and On-Crop Crashers. I don't know if I want to bump this up to 2. We might try it, but this is overperformed in this deck in my opinion. It's just been completely off the wall when you actually get to stage 3. Although sometimes you just kill them before that happens, and you just never get to play it. But that's the joy of MonoRED, right? Moving on to the 3 drops here. On-Crop Crasher needs no introduction. Possibly one of the best cards in this archetype. And especially once you get 2 of them, sort of chaining them, exerting back to back, and just set up for some insane damage turns. Also, an important uncommon to go to if you have some wild cards to kind of toss at this. I would go with On-Crops over Ramunaps if you can. And then dropping down to the banned card, the card that should not currently exist, but it does. Rampaging Frostodon has done absolute wonders in certain matchups. The fact that it's, the can't gain life text isn't necessarily that relevant. It has been a couple times against like Approach the Second Sun decks. But the other portion of this that pings them for 1 whenever creature comes into play, that has set up for some interesting turns when token producers come out, or they're trying to flood the board to block yours. You just get to drop them down to a point where our burn just takes over the game and ends it. So, and then Mama herself, Hazaret, again, needs no introduction. One of the best cards in this deck. Finishes the game very, very quickly. Although with the amount of Vraska's Contempts that are in Arena, as well as the exile, I forget the name of it. Exile target creature, if it's a god, you have to search their hand. She's in this deck. She's pretty much the only target for it. But in other MonoREDs where you have Glorybringer plus Phoenix, like you can sort of stretch their answers a little thin. In this version, we're just going for pure speed. So a lot of times you're going to be able to get Hazaret down on turn 4 with activation. She's going to be able to attack that turn as well if you have a decent curve. So it's been a blast playing this in quick queues. Have not gone less than 7 wins as far as I remember. And then, obviously, you can lose some coin flips, but because Quick Constructed is a best of 1, MonoRED is going to be, I think, the better deck to use in those grinds. If you're not an aggro player, this might not be the thing for you. You might want to look to one of the other deck techs and try and find something that more appeals to you than just slamming dudes and pushing face and going full-on smork. But, it is a lot of fun to play. I like the wizard spin on it rather than the just traditional MonoRED. Being able to actually play Lightning Bolt again and not having to worry about, having a pirate in your hand and getting the 2/2 first striker. We already have a 2/1 first striker. Stuff like that. So, going through the matchups, I can't find one that's really rough simply because it's a best of 1. Fumigate not existing is great. If you play around Settle the Wreckage correctly, you don't get blown out by that. Essentially, it's just the mirror. If you run into another mono red player, and they are traditional mono red, you're probably gonna have a rough time. And we did run into a mono green build that did put some pressure on us and made it really hard to get through. And because we have no real evasion, we don't have any flying, you know, it can be hard to break through those steel champions or any just 2-3s and 3-4s just in general. So that's probably another hard matchup too. Although I haven't run into the Saproling deck with this deck, I'd imagine that would be an impossible matchup. So maybe that's where, maybe if we play Chain Whirler, that's where it gets a little bit better. So if you guys have any suggestions for cards for this or any changes that you would make to this, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Obviously, this is a little different spin on Mono Red than would normally happen. But let me know how you guys like this, and I'll see you in the next Deck Tech. Thank you all for watching. Once again, my name is Frostie, and I'll see you next time.